Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody out there in the internet world. Welcome to the Hot Mess Life Coach, Season 2, Episode 9. I can't believe I'm already in Season 2, Episode 9 right now. I'm your host, Brian Hogan, both a hot mess and a life coach, because yes, that is too allowed. This is the show for people trying to get it together while the world seems to fall apart. And I like to remind you that it just seems like it's falling apart, but it is not falling apart. We are going through the birth pangs as we have an unprecedented transformation of human consciousness, the likes of which we have never seen. But you won't know that by watching the news media, because the news media is propaganda. So tune into your heart, tune into your community, and you will see the transformation of human consciousness taking place. Tune into the news media, tune into culture, and you will not see it there. But institutions are crumbling. That is not where safety is to be found now. Safety is to be found in your community and within. Okay, so to that end, what I want to talk about today is learning how to be calm, the power of being calm, and why calming down is actually a way that we can level up in so many areas of our lives. So today's topic is calm down and level up. I'm just going to start really briefly by telling you a few of the benefits of being calm. According to Shirley Mearson, who is like a lifestyle wellness mentor, she talks about the 6 benefits of being calm, and she puts it this way. When you're calm, you feel more in control of your emotions in your life. Yeah, obviously. You have increased breathing capacity, which is key and huge because even the Heart Math Institute has shown in many, many research studies that increased breathing capacity has myriad health benefits, like it lowers blood pressure, it lowers cholesterol, all kinds of other things. So increased breathing capacity, it's not just that you can breathe easier, it's that you're healthier, you're stronger, you can be more focused. Another benefit is that you can hear your own thoughts. I mean, that might sound a little counterintuitive because I think we all would have agreed on that you can hear your own thoughts just fine. And they're not necessarily pleasant. In fact, we mostly an inner tyrant who's being kind of a jackass to us a lot of the time. So why would we want to hear our inner thoughts more? But it's not those thoughts. Those are the thoughts that you can hear even when you're in a frenzy. When you get calm, you can hear the thoughts of your true nature more. The thoughts that emanate from bodily responses. The thoughts that emanate after you have a moment of stillness where you go, never looked at it quite like that before. You can't have those shifts in awareness. You can't hear those thoughts, the subtle, quiet whispers, when you're not calm. You can hear the din of frenzy, the matote, as the Toltec call it, which means the marketplace of crazy thoughts. You can hear that all the time. We hear that all the time. They're not thoughts you get access to when you're calm. The thoughts you get access to when you're calm are the true guidance system trying to lead you inexorably toward your best life. When you're calm, you also rediscover your creative flow. There's a lot of research out there right now that discusses creativity mindset and how creativity works, and that one of the precursors to really entering the creative flow is a state of calm and a state of stillness. So if you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're a filmmaker, if you're a pottery maker, if you're a duck hunter, it doesn't matter what it is. Like athletes will attest to this too, that the creative flow, the flow state, is triggered by a precursor of calm and stillness. So when you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do in your creative pursuits, you need calmness to be part of that process. Calmness isn't part of the process, and we're feverishly working toward a deadline. We end up with writer's block or creativity block of some kind. And so calmness, being able to truly access calm at will, or as close to at will as we can in this crazy topsy-turvy life we live in, is going to help us rediscover our creative flow and be able to access our creative flow at will more often when we want to. Another benefit of being calm is that you have clearer communication. When you're calm, because you can be creative, because you can hear your own true nature thoughts, because you have an increased breathing capacity, you can communicate more clearly. You can stop and think, and you can communicate what you really need to communicate instead of what your emotions or your inner is trying to tell you should be communicating. Or instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, you can have a thought-out, calm, more precise response to the stimulus in front of you. whether that's a toxic person or a crisis situation or any of a number of other things. And lastly, you can enjoy better health, which touched on breathing capacity, but being calm can improve our health in so many ways, not just breathing capacity, but lowering our heart rate, lowering our blood pressure, relaxing our muscles. So there are clear benefits to learning how to calm down. But how do we do it? How do we calm down the accelerated pace of a lifestyle in Western culture, in this society, where everything seems to be falling apart? What do? Well, if we want to figure out how to get calm in the present, let's look to ancient times for a minute. Let's go all the way back to the very beginning. Well, not the very beginning, but like really, really, really early. One of the earliest texts we have. It's called the Tao Te Ching. It's an ancient Chinese text, and it has this to say about being calm. Excuse me. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. The giant pine tree grows from any tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains calm. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus he has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao, thus he can care for all things. So what this passage is trying to talk about is that there are so many things that can come up in our lives, excuse me, when we have this rushing, grasping energy, we actually squish the flow of things, the flow of events. When we let go, when we let things take their course, when we remain calm and detached and can observe the flow of life, that's when we have agency, because we're not being led around by our emotions. We're not being led around by our whims. We're not being led around by cultural expectations. Instead, we're being led by our calm and peaceful center. So it says, he remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. At the end here, where it says he cares about nothing but the Tao, thus he can care for all things. The Tao means in the ancient translation is like the Tao is like the flow of life. So to care about nothing but the Tao, another way of saying care about nothing but the present moment, care about nothing but the flow of things, to care about nothing but the centered energy. And when you care about nothing but the centered energy, the paradox is it allows you to care about all things. I was just talking about this morning with a client about, I like to call it the oxygen principle, which is that in order to care for anything else other than you have to put on your oxygen mask first, like the airplane thing. Like if you don't put on your oxygen mask, then you're going to pass out. And if you pass out, how are you going to help anybody else do anything at all? So remaining calm is a way of giving yourself sort of energetic oxygen, spiritual oxygen. And when you remain calm and you're more oxygenated with that energy of calm, you can then care for all things. Later in the Tao Te Ching, it says this about calm. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace. And the law would be written in their hearts. Okay, well, so that's all well and good if powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, but they clearly don't. So, like, what good does that do us? They clearly don't. We have all these leaders out there that are not centered in the Tao. They are centered in corruption. They are rooted in war, and they are centered in all kinds of folly everywhere. That's what we see from our leaders. We're overtaxed, we're underrepresented, and the culture is sinking into this like pit of violence, right? All around us. Like we've been in perpetual perpetual war since I was born. My entire life, we've been at war with somebody. That's really ridiculous. And yet that's the way of things. It's not normal, but it's commonplace. And sometimes we confuse what's commonplace with what's normal. The reason I'm bringing this verse up is because it's talking about something external. If our leaders could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. That's great, but they're not. And so all things are not in harmony. However, that doesn't mean that you can't decide to be centered in the Tao yourself, and then you can be in a pocket of harmony in the disharmonious world. Everywhere you go with your pocket of harmony, everywhere that energy of harmony touches, you can bring that little bit into more and more balance. This is what Gandhi was talking about when he said, be the change you want to see in the world. You can't change the world. You can't change powerful men and women who run everything and who run roughshod over the population. But you can change you. And if you change you, then rippling out from you to everyone you're in contact with is change. And if they change, then rippling out from them to everyone they have contact with is more change. So this verse about powerful men and women could at first glance seem discouraging, but it's not discouraging. It's trying to paint for us the bigger picture of what the ripple effects can eventually cause. The ripple effects can cause all things to be in harmony when finally the powerful men and women remain centered in the Tao. It says the world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. But what is to stop the law from being written in your heart right now today and making your world a paradise right now today? So later, a few pages later in the Tao Te Ching, it says this, which is where the hope comes from. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. So that's what I'm talking about here. Even though the powerful men and women are like ridiculous and they try to hoodwink us and fool us and rob us at every turn, and corporations and governments are in bed together and it's terrible and it seems impossible to overcome, here's the loophole. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony even amid great pain because she has found peace in her heart. So when we find peace in our heart, we will start to perceive the universal harmony. What does it mean by universal harmony? What it means is that despite what human beings are doing that seems disharmonious out there, the planet runs on a cooperative, harmonious spirit. That's what the planet runs on. Just because humans have disconnected themselves from it and we listen to our mind and our mind clutter rather than listen to our body, doesn't mean the uniting, guiding principle underneath the planet isn't still harmony. It is. Like the species all still run on harmony. Like trees breathe out oxygen and we breathe it in. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide and how dysfunctional humans become, we're still part of and playing a part in universal harmony. It can't be any other way. There's nothing we can do about that. We can be disharmonious in our singular choices, in our species-wide choices, but the planet runs on harmony, whether we like it or not. Like the food chain, the predator-prey cycle of food chain is another example of harmony. Even though it might feel traumatizing for the gazelle that's being eaten in the moment, there's actually like a phenomenon in nature where species just learn to shake off their trauma and then they're fine again and they go about their lives. In our culture, we have decided, we've made meaning about shaking. Oh, if you shake and you tremble, you're weak and it's weak to shake. And so we hold it all in, or it's weak to be emotional. And so because we hold in all of our traumas, we end up traumatized, and then we work out that trauma by having perpetual war with other human beings. And so living through this massive trauma response to the fact that we don't know how to become calm internally. So the more each individual becomes calm internally, the more we work through the massive trauma response our species is undergoing. I'm trained in a modality called TRE, Advanced Trauma Release Exercises. And all it is about helping clients and people learn how to shake their body in a certain specific, precise way that helps release stored muscle tension and stored trauma, so that they can come back to homeostasis. Even they might not even why they're shaking, what they're shaking about. But we've all had experiences where we've held in pain or emotion, or where we felt like we're not supposed to shake, we're supposed to be strong, stiff upper lip, all that stuff. And so that's trauma that gets stored in our bodies. As a species, we're seeing what the results of that are now playing out on our planet as we're sinking into chaos, what seems like sinking into chaos. But as I said at the beginning, what it's really doing is bringing more and more people on the necessity of, hey, we need to get calm. Hey, we need to get serious. We need to get it together because the world seems to be falling apart. And that's causing a massive swell of people awakening to their own need for a healing journey, and therefore embarking on a healing journey, which is the catalyst for the massification of human consciousness, which we are seeing play out now, even though you couldn't tell that by watching the news. So what can you do? What can you do to be a part of the massive transformation of human consciousness? Well, calm down. That's the very first on any healing. Calm the down. Okay? That's what you can do. But how? How do we do it? Okay, let's talk about that. Real briefly, though, before we jump into the how, one last thing. The research on getting calm, according to the Mayo Clinic, there are piles and piles of benefits to practicing relaxation techniques. So I'm going to show you a relaxation technique at the end that you can do to start practicing calm now, which will have myriad benefits on your life. But here are some of them. So first of all, relaxation techniques take practice. They take practice and they take commitment. So once you're done listening to this today, it's not just a one and done. You've got to go and practice getting calm daily, little bit by little bit, and just see what happens in your life over time. Here are some of the benefits: slowing heart rate, lowering blood pressure, improving digestion, controlling blood sugar levels, reducing activity of stress hormones, increasing blood flow to major muscles, reducing muscle tension and chronic pain, improving focus and mood, improving sleep quality, lowering fatigue, reducing anger and frustration, and boosting confidence to handle problems. That's just a small list of the benefits, the scientifically studied and researched benefits of practicing calm out of the Mayo Clinic. So to get the most out of your relaxation techniques, you can incorporate them or mix them with other positive coping methods. Other positive ways of coping are things like thinking positively, not toxically positive, but thinking like about, maybe thinking positively is the wrong way to put it. Let's call it thinking accurately. So if you're feeling upset, it's like as simple as saying, I feel really upset right now. That's thinking accurately. Thinking negatively is, this is never going to change. I'm always going to be this upset, and it's a catastrophe. So we don't need to shift from thinking negatively to positively. We can shift from thinking negatively to thinking accurately, because when we tell ourselves the truth, we calm down. The truth itself has a calming effect. So finding humor, problem solving, exercising regularly, eating a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, spending time outside, these are all sort of positive coping mechanisms. If you can mix some of these in with the relaxation techniques I'm going to tell you, you're going to be well on your way to being a calmer and less reactive person. I used to be very reactive in my 20s. I mean, even until like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, I would get triggered by things and I would feel the need to defend myself. I mean, this obviously still happens at times with all of us. Like, I'm a human and I'm learning. I'm not healed. I'm healing. I'm healing the parts of myself that used to feel abandoned. One time when I was in my 20s, living in Los Angeles, I got into an argument with a friend who was always stealing my food from the refrigerator. And like, money was tight for me, so it was a big deal at the time. And like, I got so angry one night when he was being really flippant with me about the taking of my food, which was essentially like taking my paycheck away. So I knocked over this lamp in anger and violence, and like I got so angry and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. But it felt like such a betrayal of my own self, of my own loyalty. Like, I know my own heart. I know what a good friend I am. I know how loving and kind I am. But that wasn't evident in my behavior in that night. So I betrayed myself. I betrayed who I really was by losing my cool. I abandoned a part of myself, and it came with shame. It came with regret. It came with guilt afterwards. Not because my friend didn't deserve my wrath. His level of deserving was not the issue. I had abandoned myself because I didn't want to be that kind of wrathful person. So me decide like making, and it was quick, you do these things fast. I was making a choice to abandon my true nature because I was reacting, because I didn't have a calm foundation to decide to respond from. So over the years of being conscious and aware of my own wounds, I have begun to find healing. Now, the people I live with now call me the most tranquil person they know. I also find this to be ridiculous because I know the kind of chaos that goes on in my own head. But the truth is, I am calmer and my life is better for it. I have stepped closer to matching the version of myself that is really aligned with my true nature, the version of myself of how I really want to show up in the world. Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. That space is where our power to respond comes from. So when we practice being calm, we elongate that space, which leads to us being less reactive and more present and more able to act how we actually want to act, to step into the version of ourselves that we really want to. So what I'd like to share an exercise with you guys that will practice, that will help you to get the experience of how to calm down. It's called progressive muscle relaxation. So in this relaxation technique, you do is you focus on slowly tensing and then relaxing each muscle group. This can help you focus on the difference between muscle tension and relaxation. You can become more aware of your physical sensations, which is always helpful to become more aware of your mind and body connection. In one method of progressive muscle relaxation, here's what you do. You start by tensing the muscles, tensing and relaxing the muscles in your toes, and progressively working your way up to your neck and your head. So what this looks like, first of all, you're going to want to find a quiet area where you won't be interrupted. You can start by doing 5 minutes a day. You know how you kind of, like, we will oftentimes like hold our shoulders up, or our jaw might be clenched, or our brow is furrowed and we don't even realize it. Like right now, if I say to you, unclench your jaw, you can just notice, oh yeah, my jaw might have been clenched a little bit. Or drop your shoulders and it's like, yeah, what was I holding in there? So progressive muscle relaxation is a way of releasing muscle tension systematically from toes to head, or the other way around. I like to start at the toes and go up because that's the way the energy flows in the body. But you can do whatever way resonates with you. But essentially it looks like this. So you close your eyes, you get calm, and then you squeeze your toes for 5 seconds, and then you relax them. And you let them feel relaxed for 30 seconds. And then you tense your ankles for 5 seconds. And then you let them feel relaxed for 30 seconds. And then you tense your calf muscles and relax. Tense your quads. I'm doing it now as I walk you through this. And then relax. And when you do it in practice, you're going to want to let the relaxation part last about 30 seconds. I'm moving through it a little faster here just to give you the sequence. But that's what you do, and you just go body part by body part, bit by bit, till you get to your glutes, your abs, your pelvis, your chest, do your hands, do your wrists, do your forearms, do your neck muscles, do your jaw. Tense, relax. Tense, relax. This progressive muscle relaxation technique is a way of tuning into the parts of your body where you hold the tension and actively going in and relaxing those parts. When you're done with progressive muscle relaxation technique, you may find that you feel calmer. You feel a little bit more relaxed. That's the goal. Another thing you can do is called metta, which is in the Buddhist tradition. It means loving kindness. So a loving kindness meditation. Really simply, it's about beaming loving kindness out towards the world. So it starts by you beam loving kindness at a person that you already love. So like you pick a best friend or a child or a parent who you really love and there's no tension between you and them. And you picture them in your mind and you say, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be at peace. And you do that for like 2 or 3 minutes and you really fill yourself with the sense of compassion and love towards that person you already love. Then you beam that same love and compassion towards yourself for a few minutes. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. Then you beam it out towards a person that it's not as easy to love. Now that you're feeling the compassion activated, you beam it out to a person who has wronged you, or a person who frustrates you, or the person at the counter at the checkout line who's always a little terse. Like, you just, someone that's mildly challenging, and you beam loving compassion at them. And that's exercising and strengthening your compassion muscle, which also calms you down. And then finally, you picture the whole world and you beam the loving compassion at them. And you always doing it, may you be well, may you be at peace. You can change the wording of phrases to anything that resonates with you. You can't really do it wrong. The only way to do any of these exercises wrong is to skip them. And you don't have to do any of the ones that don't resonate with you. But if it resonates with you, just try to commit to it. Just commit to it even for a week and see what happens. A few minutes a day for a week and see what happens in your life. See if some of your personal power returns back to you. See what that personal power, what that ability to remain calm gets you in your life. See how you show up differently in your relationships and how you show up differently for yourself. So if there's any questions about anything that I've mentioned at all, you can feel free to put them in the chat. As always, I'm happy to take questions. You can do that anytime, any week. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in from the future right now. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I love all of you. And I want to thank you so much for being here. If you know of anyone who might benefit from what I've said today, what you've heard here today, then please share this video, tag them, like the post, tweet it, comment on it, whatever you need to do to get the word out there. I appreciate that, all of that. And if you want to learn more about me and what I do, you can always visit my website at thebrianhogan.com. That's thebrianhogan.com for more information or to apply for coaching. In the meantime, I will see you all here next week for episode 10 on Thursday, March 9th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, be hot, be messy, and be blessed. Much love to you all. Thank you so much.